Hey, yo, what is up? Welcome to another video of Anime Autistic, and this one's probably not going to be a real long one. There are tons of fantastic anime out there, and a lot of those have tons of great stories that are told in their own individual arcs. And here are just some of mine that I feel just get real slept on, that people just do not give the credit to. So a lot of people like My Hero Academia. Like, it's one of the most popular anime out here in the West. And I myself really enjoy it. I don't think it's the great, I don't think it's a godsend, but I do think it's real good, super enjoyable, tons of great characters. But there's one arc, there's a couple arcs that I feel like people don't talk too much about, but there's one arc that I feel is great, or at least real good, that I don't hear a soul speaking of, and that's the Semester 1 Finals. Let's talk about what's actually in the Semester 1 Finals. So, you know, it's teams of two, they're pairing it's of the students, teams of two, pairing up against the teachers, trying to either, you know, treating them basically like they're villains. They're either trying to capture them, which is, you know, incapacitate them, or they're trying to run away, which is what they'd have to do. You know, if you're against an opponent too strong, you need to run away. If you can handle it, handle it. So that's what they need to do. The reason I like this arc, one, we get to see a lot of the actual, like, power development from the kids from 1A so far. We get to see them get better. It's not only just Deku, Bakugo, Ida, Uehara. I mean, when you get a chance where Mineta gets to shine, how is that a bad arc? Like, you get to see the growth of a lot of these characters and see how they've gone, how they've done better. You know, so we get to see that character development, which is really, if anything, what this kind of story is supposed to be about. That's kind of the deal, man. And honestly, what I feel, My Hero Academia, really the best thing going for it is the character writing. Because everything else in it is, you know, 6 out of 10 to maybe an 8 out of 10. Sometimes a 3 out of 10, depending on what it is. But in this one, we actually get to see that these characters are getting better, and we get to see them kind of think things through, them kind of start to step out into their own as heroes and how they would deal with these situations, other than just like the tiny little bit we get to see in like the internship part. Each one of those matchups we get to see some cool action with. Like, that entire arc is mostly action. It's mostly battles. It's not necessarily like battle, like they're not trying to kill each other or anything, but it is battles. Like, we get to see that's the whole arc. And when My Hero does that kind of situation, I'm always a fan. Like, the tournament arc's pretty good, but the Stain arc's really good as well. I think people just don't really talk about it as much because it's kind of the end cap for that season, for season 2, and it's after the Stain arc when everything already kind of went down with Stain, so it's just, that was more memorable. And honestly, that's the best part probably of all of My Hero so far that has been animated, in my opinion. So, but yeah, I just feel like that arc is way good. It really showcases some of the strong points of the series, and just nobody ever seems to even remember that it happened. So my second one is the Hero Hunter arc from One Punch Man, or essentially that's season 2. Yes, we are all aware that the animation that was done by JC Staff was not quite as well as what was done by Madhouse. Let's also not pretend that it didn't look at least as good as something like Shield Hero. Can we all get on the same page as that? That it doesn't necessarily look bad? And some of the fights were really cool. Most of Garo's fights were really cool. Like, I read the manga of him and, you know, of Garo, you know, was scrolling through it, reading through it, just, all right. Yes, him versus all the A and B class heroes in the manga is more interesting, better. I'm not going to front on that. To me, though, like, it wasn't bad. It was pretty well. The pacing was a little fast for it, but I mean, it was in general. I watched that first and I was like, man, I really love this fight. Him versus Steel Ball and Spring Mustachio was super fun as well. Now, it wasn't like the same thing as anything, Saitama versus Beerus. It wasn't quite on that level or anything like that. It wasn't necessarily, it was kind of more on par with how you probably could say maybe it was like watching, Carnage Kabuto. But listen, the story there is freaking great. I don't think they messed up the story. Garo is a compelling and interesting character. And just we get to see it step by step what's happening. It does feel, like I said, a little quick in Season 2. The pacing, was a little fast. That is totally the case. But while I don't feel like it's completely crapped on, nobody seems to say, I really liked One Punch Man Season 2. So I'll be the one to say it. I really liked One Punch Season 2. Come fight me, anime god. Naruto's a real long story. It really is. And I think because the Land of the Waves arc is at the very beginning of Naruto, I think some people kind of forget about it. But I mean, I've watched, the first series of Naruto, I think at least 3 times. Maybe it's been 4. And each time I was watching that arc, I was like, oh, I really like this. I really like this a lot. Because it's a good arc. It's really solid. It's so much better than the start of Shippuden. The first 2 arcs in Naruto Shippuden are kind of atrocious. The one with Sasori and Deidara, that one really kind of just stretches on, and it's like, alright, go somewhere with this. Whereas the Land of Waves arc, there's we get introduced very early on to this strong character in Zabuza. It has a freaking great finale, and then everything else in between is a pretty good ride. And it sets up what these ninja missions could be, what they would be facing in the future. It's just set really, really early in the series, but it's just something that people are like, yes, it's good. I don't think anybody says, oh, that first arc of Naruto is trash, because they'd be kicked in the balls or in the womb, if they're a woman. But people just seem to always say things like, I really like the Pain arc, which is a good arc. That final battle's a little. I don't love that animation style that they went. Is it poorly animated? No. Do I love the style? No. But the Land of the Waves arc, actually, I had no problem with any of the animation in it, and it's real cool. It has a lot of good tense moments between Kakashi and Zabuza. It's very interesting to hear Haku's backstory. We kind of learn about, this corruption in the ninja world that exists, that's there. It's not explored too much later in the story, which is a little unfortunate because it'd be kind of cool if that was more part of Naruto, but it's the only arc that really has that, straight up. So let's talk about an amazing arc. This is the first one of the arcs so far that I'm like, this is amazing. While I did really like the other 3, especially I drew Season 2 One Punch Man, and yeah, the Land of Waves arc, pretty fire. It really gets you in the story. The Chapter Black arc from Yu Yu Hakusho is out of this world. Now, I do feel like people talk about Yu Yu Hakusho. I feel like now that it's just a little bit older, just less and less people are talking about it. But I think some people are finding it and they're like, whoa, this 25-year-old anime is, just on fire. It's Yu Yu Hakusho is just genre defining. There's so many things in it. I am currently rewatching it for the, I don't even know how many times. I think this is the 4th time. And I'm like, yo, there's just so much good stuff in here that I'm like, you know what? I could trace this to, Demon Slayer did that. Or I could trace this to Black Clover did that Bleach did that, that I see. And I'm like, it kind of was set up. It was made like the formula was all kind of there in Yu Yu Hakusho. Now the Chapter Black arc it's set right after the Dark Tournament arc, which is, I'm not even going to argue about it. Dark Tournament arc is the best arc in Yu Yu Hakusho. But I really feel like if that is, honestly, I don't know if that's a full 10. Probably is. It probably is a 10 out of 10. If that's a 10 out of 10, Chapter Black is a 9.5. Because we're still introduced with a lot of interesting characters, especially the main antagonist in Sensui, and how, he kind of mirrors Yusuke in this weird paradoxical way where, he was this upstanding guy, and then he got kind of like, he got twisted in his brain, started to reject the realities that could exist, the cruelty that exists in this world, and it warped him. Whereas Yusuke started off not nearly as like an evil person, but he was a rough and tumble delinquent kid, and he starts to realize like he has a purpose in life, etc., etc., and starts to kind of grow as a person. So I think that is interesting. The new powers that are set up by the kind of, I forget what it was, but with the People's Territory, where they were kind of getting infected by the Demon World bugs. I thought that the new powers were interesting. Having these territories, it was nice to like go from up to that point. They were mostly fighting demons. It was I guess that very the first 2 arcs. I guess up to that point they were mostly fighting demons, other than the Genkai tournament. But that was 6 episodes, and like Chapter Black starts, I think, on episode like 60 something. So now we're introduced to something where we're not fighting demons, and then they go back to fighting demons again. So like, it's nice that it's a new kind of power system, and I appreciate it. Or just new powers in general in the show, to see this. And like I said, the characters are interesting. The action is interesting. There are a lot of really cool moments, like Yusuke getting chased by the 18-wheeler. Him fighting that doctor dude was freaking... I remember seeing that as a kid, and I was like, oh, whoa! Like, it was just so cool to me. Anyway, Chapter Black arc is a true joy to watch. So is Yu Yu Hakusho, but specifically, like, let's all acknowledge Chapter Black is a phenomenal shonen arc. It went faster in the anime than the first half did, but Act 2 of Death Note is still really good, guys. It's really good. Nier is not a trash character. Honestly, I don't like him as much as L. L is a great character. So is Light Yagami. So is his father. So is Nier. So is Mello. Also, there are a lot of interesting intricacies that are still happening in that second act of Death Note. Like, yes, it goes a lot quicker. Like, it adapts the manga. Madhouse adapts the manga a whole lot quicker. Where it's like, oh, sometimes it does feel maybe slightly dizzying. Not to me. I've watched Death Note a lot. I'm actually reading it for the first time. I've never read it before. I'm reading it for the first time right now. And I'm like, yes, this is the bomb. Warning. Big spoiler. I went to see, where does Dell die? Boom, and it's like, I want to say maybe 55% through the story. So almost half of the story is without L. Just because the best character died doesn't mean it's bad. I hate to spoil this for somebody, but Attack on Titan is a pretty death-heavy show. If your favorite character dies in it, which mine did, that doesn't make it a bad show, does it? No, it's still gonna get... All Might's gonna die in My Hero Academia. I mean, and he's, in my opinion, one of the best characters in that show. Some people like Aizawa more, a little bit more. I know some people like love Endeavor. I don't read that manga, so I'm not, you know, caught up to see what happens with Endeavor. But I heard the Endeavor arc's really good. Just because the best character in the show dies does not mean that the quality of the show decreases. I don't think, like, I think the second act just keeps up with what's happening. And yeah, it does go a little bit quicker. It goes through the source material a little bit quicker. So like some of that tense atmosphere isn't there. And here's the reason I know for a fact why a lot of people don't like the second part. It's because in the first act with L, the proximity of L and Light is what entrances you, keeps you really interested in it. Because, like I said, the proximity. They're near each other. Both of them are in clear and present danger of one another. They can look out and they can touch each other. That's how close each one of them is to, well, that's how close L is to death, to complete annihilation. And that's also how close Kira, Kira, Light, Yagami, is to being caught. You know, he's in this room with all these, as you know, as easily as they could hand him a cup of coffee or give him a pat on the back, they could also cuff him. It's real simple, and you can feel that. You know that that's there in the back of your mind. You know, oh, both of them are like hiding in plain sight. Whereas, yeah, in season 2, Mello and Nier, well. Nier's in a completely different country for a good amount of it, and Mello is straight up an antagonist for it. Whereas L was whereas L wasn't really an antagonist to Light. He was not even a rival. He himself was the opposition to Kira, but it's not like he was an antagonist. Whereas Mello straight up was an antagonist, and I am so looking forward to reading that part again. It's an amazing anime. It's one of the best, and definitely in my opinion. But I think just in general, like if you get a bunch of people, anime connoisseurs, and be like, yo, what are in the top 20? Hell, a lot of people are gonna say Death Note belongs in the top 20 anime of all time. And that second act does not let up. It still keeps you interested because the story keeps going. It just goes in a different place, slightly. Anyway, those were 5 anime arcs that I was like, you know what? These don't get enough love, enough appreciation. So I wanted to bring them in. I was like, Garo, you come here. Great character. I love you. Bring in the Land of the Waves arc. Super good introduction into this world. Chapter Black is just, it's a delicious morsel of a story. And then don't ever trash talk Death Note. Are you crazy? Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you liked any of the stupid stuff I said, go ahead, hit that like button. Subscribe for more content like this. This is a video that I will probably do a good amount of in the future, these kind of 5 whatever kind of things. I'm not going to always do these breakdowns of sociology and philosophy and theology. They're not all going to be that. Sometimes it's just, hey, anime is good, and here's like some really dope stories that are told in it, because I love the storytelling in it as well. Peace out, guys. Thank you for watching.